Sultan of Sokoto Alhaji Muhammad Sahad Abubakar III says governors of the Northwest states must go beyond talk shops or summit in tackling regions' protracted insecurity challenges to engender any form of meaningful development. 21 out of the 23 local government chairmen in Rivers State, the former ones, defy police order to protest across the council areas, insisting the police should continue to barricade at council headquarters. Hello and welcome to Politics Today, reaching you live from our global headquarters here in the nation's commercial nerve center, Lagos. I'm Jeffrey Uzonga. And of course, our job always is to track what's going on in the politics. And a couple of things happened today, which we will just touch on as much as possible. But big on it will be our focus on security. The reason is simple. The Northwest governors, in collaboration with the United Nations Development Program, had a summit today to begin to talk about peace and security in that region, so that there could be some form of meaningful development in the area, given what has bedeviled the area from insecurity to multidimensional poverty, and is a long list, the things they've been dealing with over time. So how can the region improve the lives and livelihood of the people as enshrined in Section 14 of the Constitution? That was the focus, and it was a big event. Former President Muhammadu Buhari was in attendance. The Vice President representing the President was in attendance, as well as the governors of that region or their deputy, former governors, members of cabinet, as well as other top government officials and diplomats were all in attendance to begin to have that conversation. So we will explore that today with a security expert on what is the way forward. Beyond that as well, Southern governors met today in Abeokuta, neighboring states in Ogun State, and the governor of Ogun State emerged as the chairman of that particular forum. But that is not all. Going down south to Rivers, which we've always said, Rivers appears to be a recurrent decimal every other day. We understand there was a ban on any form of protest at some point, but we saw 21 out of the 23 local government former chairmen this time leading protests in some parts of the state, supporting the police to barricade the secretariat, perhaps pending the determination of what is going on at the appeal court, which has been reserved. The judgment has been reserved. There are four consolidated, four consolidated appeal that are before the appeal court, and they will be hearing it pretty soon. But the date has not been communicated. But it appears all parties are kind of grandstanding, making their voices heard as much as possible. At some point, hopefully, we should have the Commissioner of Police in Rivers State join us, Mr. Tunji Dusu, will join us at some point of the program for us to have that conversation. But first, let's tell you that the Ogun State Governor, Dakwa Abiodun, has emerged the chairman of the Southern Governors Forum, while his Anambra State counterpart, Professor Charles Soludo, will serve as his deputy. This was communicated by the chairman of the Southern Southwest Governors Forum and the governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, after the forum's meeting held at the Presidential Lodge in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital. In his remarks after the meeting, which lasted for over 5 hours, the chairman of the forum, Governor Abiodun, says he would not betray the confidence his colleagues have reposed in him and his team.
It's indeed an honor, and a humble one at that, that I have been nominated to lead the Southern Governors Forum alongside with Professor Charles Soludo, the governor of Anambra State, as the vice chairman of this forum. I first want to thank all the governors, the 17 governors, for coming to Abeokuta today for this meeting, the first meeting in the last about 3 years. It underscores the commitment and the determination to ensure that the southern states occupy their pride of place. And I also want to thank them for this confidence so reposed in myself and Professor Soludo, and pledge that we will ensure that this confidence is justified. We have discussed a whole wide-ranging number of issues. Because of time constraints, myself and Professor Soludo will make available to you pressmen the details of our communique that reflects our aspirations, our determination, and the new and positioned forum.
So that's how things played out in Abeokuta, where all of the southern governors, we're talking about Southwest, Southeast, and South-South governors, they make up the southern governors. Arakunri Oluwarotimi Akeredolu was the last chairman of that forum before he passed on, God rest his soul. But if we head north, the vice president says that an injury to one is an injury to all, as he advocates for collaboration in addressing the security challenges in that particular region. We understand as we speak, the meeting is also going on after the plenary that held here. The vice president who was speaking at that particular Northwest Peace and Security Summit in Katsina State, that's what it's called, which had in attendance former President Muhammadu Buhari and other governors there, maintains that the lines of division must be closed. He also eulogized the Sultan of Sokoto, whom he says is an institution that must be protected at all costs because it's a treasure to the nation.
Our presence here is a communal gathering to address the afflictions that have threatened the stability and unity of this great house. I am honored to join you in reflecting on our path to extinguishing the fires we were elected to put out. Beyond the economic rationale that drove the amalgamation of the northern and southern parts of Nigeria, the formation of our great nation was inspired by the need for mutual protection. But I ask, how can we achieve this sacred objective if one part is afflicted? We have long established that whatever else any part of this federation destabilizes the other. So the issue of national security in the Northwest is not a sectional agenda. We promise to make Nigeria safer, and this aim has been our topmost priority since we came to office over a year ago. We realize that achieving the peace we seek necessitates addressing the historical injustices that have torn communities apart. We must also reverse the institutional priorities governing security and the economic dysfunctions that create vulnerabilities to crime. We must also counter the ideological mischief that has pervaded the discourse of peace and security in the region. Our meetings over the past few months have shown our readiness for a paradigm shift in achieving peace in northern Nigeria. We have established the need for combining military interventions with police reform, local policing enhancement, peace-building programs, dialogue promotion, and educational campaigns to address the underlying causes of conflict. We have also identified a roadmap that includes integrating military, political, and socio-economic strategies, enhancing cross-border cooperation, investing in youth empowerment and education, strengthening local institutions, promoting inclusive dialogue, prioritizing prevention and resilience building measures, and engaging regional neighbors for support.
Well, it wasn't just him that spoke. The Sultan of Sokoto, Alhaji Muhammadu Sa'ad Abubakar III, is calling for a proper and true probe into the insecurity situation in the Northwest, despite the amount of resources spent in tackling the problem. He maintains that the solution must be homegrown for sustainability and beyond the talk shops.
It's time to ask the question, why are things still in the state they are today, despite the tons of money spent on procuring equipment for the services and also for the well-being of the personnel, and also what the governors have been doing to bring to an end this insecurity. We need to ask this question for us to discuss and move and know how to move forward. But without giving an answer to this question, we cannot go anywhere. We will come back to another conference again. We're still talking about the same issues, the same problems. I'd like to thank UNDP and other United Nations agencies and the German government for supporting this conference in this beautiful hall, very conducive to talk about issues of insecurity. But the real issues are talked outside the hall, where the people live, in the villages, in the towns, and in the markets, which I think we need to discuss here so that the governors will have a way forward in what really we all must do together to bring these problems to a minimal level. I'd like to thank you and even other agencies, but I want to say, no matter how much support you give us, if we are not ready and willing to end these criminal activities, we can't succeed. We will be the ones to work for this and end these problems if we so desire. Nobody will come from somewhere to work for us. Nobody will come from the moon to solve these problems. We must solve our problems.
Well, brutal honesty from the royal father. The word, they say, is enough. Paul is very clear with his words, and I'm sure that everybody seated in that hall got the message as clear as possible, because it's been a protracted problem and has hampered development in the Northwest and the entire region as well. They are the biggest region in terms of number, and he's saying simply, when it comes to election, we are quartered, but beyond that, development must come. They have about 7 states in that region, above every other region in the country. But as I said, security as well as governance is going to be part of the big conversation today on the program. When we come back after taking you through some of the stories we've been tracking, we'll bring you our first guest, a governor who was just elected as the chairman of the Southern Governors Forum. Governor Dapo Abiodun will be joining us after we'll take you through a political round of stories. Join us again.
The Nigerian Labour Congress is calling on President Bola Tinubu to consult relevant stakeholders before sending an executive bill to the National Assembly for a new minimum wage. The president of the NLC, Joe Ajero, made his stance known at a meeting with officials of the Kogi State government in Abuja. According to him, such consultation will help eliminate future disagreements, bearing in mind that the tripartite committee did not reach a consensus of what the new minimum wage should be.
This matter is being taken to the president. When we may have, that is, dotted all I's and crossed all T's. It will be taken for him, and it's expected for him or him to reach out to the tripartite people, not just labor, the employers, people representing government, to see whether they can build a synergy outside the negotiating table to come up with a figure that should be transmitted to the National Assembly. That's our position.
Former council chairmen from 21 out of the 23 local government areas of Rivers State have held protests in their different councils. In Buguma, the council headquarters of Asari Toru local government area, former chairman Onengi Ofori George led protesters singing, dancing, and waving placards and asking the police to continue occupying the councils while also criticizing Governor Fubara. They then converged on the council headquarters where they presented their protest letter to the divisional police officer. There was, however, a scuffle when some displeased Amama soldiers tried to engage the protesters but were restrained by the police. A High Court of the Federal Capital Territory has discharged a senator represented by Bayelsa Central Senatorial District, Friday Kombowe, who was initially charged with certificate forgery. Mr. Kombowe of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, was arraigned before the court on March 26 on a 3-count charge in which he was accused of forging an exemption certificate of the National Youth Service Corps. Justice Christopher Oba discharged Kombowe and struck out the charges shortly after prosecuting lawyer Ruben Eguaba applied to discontinue the prosecution.
Today, in open court, it has been shown that the Attorney General of the Federation has rightly withdrawn that fiat, which was indeed erroneously obtained. So it has been withdrawn. There's no authority to prefer any charge against him, and the entire matter has been struck out.
15 members of the House of Representatives have pleaded with President Bola Tinubu to release the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, who is currently undergoing trial for alleged treason. Operating on the platform of the concerned federal lawmakers for peace and security in the Southeast, the lawmakers from different geopolitical zones are asking the president to invoke Section 174 of the 1999 Constitution and Section 107, subsection 1 of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015 to set Mr. Kanu free. They are also calling on President Tinubu to direct the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Mr. Lateef Fagbemi, to discontinue Kanu's trial and set him free.
Every everything rises and falls on leadership, as we've learned over the years, whether you're in secondary or university, wherever you go, there's everything rises and falls on leadership, which is why we always try to engage leaders of thought and political leaders and the people who make decisions for us on how they are managing the affairs of state when it borders on things like security, the economy, and all of that. So it's a reason why some of these conversations have been held both in the North and in the South, one of which we talked about, the Southern Governors Forum. They will be able to tell us what was the forum really, what was the outcome of that meeting they have over 5 hours besides the election of Governor Dakwa Abiodun, as well as we'll touch on security issues in the North and possibly to get the perspective of the CP of the Commissioner of Police in Rivers State as to managing the security situation in that state. So it's a packed show, but we'll go on this quick break. When we'll come back, we'll start that conversation. Join us again with the governor. Welcome back. We sincerely apologize for this delay, but we're now being joined by the governor of Ogun State, who has just emerged the chairman of the Southern Governors Forum, Governor Dakwa Abiodun. He joins us via Zoom from Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital. Your Excellency, thank you so much for coming on the program. Your Excellency, if you can hear me, welcome to the program.
I can hear you very well.
All right, so let's begin by saying congratulations to you on your emergence. But for people who are not quite familiar, in fact, two congratulations, I must say. First is your emergence as the chairman of the Southern Governors Forum. The other is a very colorful hosting of Ojudeova that we saw pictures flying online and everybody celebrating the rich cultural heritage. So commendations to the government as well. But back to the issue of Southern Governors, for those people who don't really understand what the forum really stands for, maybe this is an opportunity for you to walk us through what it represents so that we'll know what to find out exactly from what the forum stands for.
Well, thank you very much. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Some interference from the background. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Very good. So today we held the Southern Governors Forum meeting after almost 3 years of holding our last meeting. Our last meeting was precisely on the 21st of September, 2021 in Enugu. Following two other meetings, one that we held in Asaba and the second that we held in Lagos. And the reason for that interregnum is not very far-fetched. Shortly after that last meeting, our then chairman, His Excellency Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu, took ill. And following that, we had elections and everybody was distracted and he since passed, and we felt it was important for us to observe a period before coming together again to choose another chairman and, of course, resuscitate the gathering of these all-important forum of the southern states that are the economic powerhouse of this country. I must not fail to appreciate the fact that the initiator of this forum then was His Excellency, Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR, who was the first chairman of the forum and the initiator of this forum when he was the executive governor of Lagos State. So today we met and my peers decided that I should lead them. I'm indeed very humbled and delighted to be given such honor. I have accepted it. Myself, alongside with my vice, Professor Charles Soludo, the executive governor of Anambra, will now be leading the Southern Governors Forum, a forum of 17 states that represents about 90 million people out of the about 200 plus people population of Nigeria. The main idea behind this forum is to ensure the cohesion, the unity, even in the diversity of the southern states. You know, we used to be a protectorate in the past where we were just, the southern protectorate before we were split into different states. Yes, we have physical lines that divide us as states and tribes. But what you saw today, where all of us came out in one color, in one uniform, a clear demonstration of our commitment to stand as one, and regardless of party affiliations, all in effort to continue to promote unity, to continue to promote the economy of our sub-region, to continue to ensure that those that entrusted us with their mandate indeed get the full benefit of this trust that's placed on our shoulders. That was generally, or that is generally the thinking behind the initiative of the Southern Governors Forum, which of course is not strange. As we have the Southern Governors Forum, we also have the Northern Governors Forum.
Your Excellency, we're going to be dovetailing into different issues from the state level to the national level. So I remember that under Rotimi Akeredolu, the late Rotimi Akeredolu, one of the things that was strongly pushed was, which eventually materialized, which is why the president is the president of Nigeria, was the fact that the Southern Governors Forum came together and insisted that the president must come from the southern region. But the elections are over. We still have ahead till 2027. So now it is a good time to talk governance. So under your leadership, what will be some of the strongest thing you will be pushing as a collective beyond what you stated, just like I posited the issue of Southern presidency?
Well, thank you very much. Yes, the Southern presidency was a very important item on the priorities of Southern governors before 2023. And today, we all appreciate the fact that that was one matter and issue that we're all resolute about, that we're all united on. And indeed, it became a reality. But I must be quick to appreciate the fact that, yes, we succeeded in doing that, but we did so because we also had the cooperation and understanding of our northern colleagues from the other side of the divide. But to answer your question, today we discussed a few issues that are going to be defining us, issues that are important to us, that we consider as our priority. And one of those issues that we discussed was the issue of security. If indeed we are going to be talking about how to enhance our socio-economic development as a region, we all know that we cannot have any meaningful development in an atmosphere of insecurity. So that was something that we discussed. We all spoke with one voice in support of state policing. We spoke with one voice in support of regional security outfits, which almost all regions have set up and that are working hand in hand gloves with the law enforcement agencies in providing them with intelligence and support. We spoke about infrastructure. We believe that for us to be regionally integrated, we must have the required infrastructure for investment facilitation, for investment promotion, for movement, efficient and effective movement of persons, goods, and services. And on that note, we were unanimous in appreciating our President Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR, for the initiative behind the construction of the coastal road, which is the road itself that connects, practically the entire southern region. We are quick to recognize that this road is a key enabler to economic development and like no other. Like I gave an example earlier on, I said, the second phase of that road will terminate just at the border between Ogun State and Ondo State. And the alignment where that road is going to is an alignment into the waterside part of Ogun State. Today, if you are traveling from Lagos to Ogun waterside, it will probably take you between 4 and 5 hours. When that road is constructed and completed, that journey will take you 30 minutes. So that's a classical example of how much this road will facilitate the movement of persons and goods and services, how much it will open up the entire corridor along the coast to a lot of business activity and, of course, tourism, and the amount of job opportunities that this will also provide. So yes, we spoke about infrastructure along providing transportation infrastructure. We spoke about also enjoining and ensuring that the federal government transfers some of these truncated roads, some of the states that have expressed interest to take them over, because we're one and the same anyway. Our citizens don't know the difference between a federal road and a state road. So if a governor is willing to take over a road, we have encouraged the federal government to transfer that road to them. And of course, we plead the federal government to also begin to look at rehabilitate some of the roads that are currently in bad state. But overall, the governors decided that we must have a multimodal transport master plan that allows us to connect rail transportation, road transportation, air transportation, and water transportation. Because we realize and appreciate the fact that transportation is a key enabler in investment promotion and facilitation, and of course, the general well-being and well-being of our people. So we discussed infrastructure. We discussed the issue of food security, particularly at this point in time in the nation's development. Every now and then, we hear our people talk about, you don't have this, you don't have that. Most of us governors are busy intervening, in different ways and manners. The federal government itself has reached out to many of the states through us by providing us with rice and food items to cushion the effect of the removal of fuel subsidy and, of course, the floating of the naira. But what we discussed as a region was to ensure that we become more deliberate and more intentional about food security and agriculture. I mean, this is a region that has over 8 million hectares of land. And consequently, we don't have any business not growing what we eat and eating what we grow. So governors resolved that going forward, they're going to be more intentional, more deliberate about promoting agriculture and ensuring food security, and also the capacity to grow what they eat what you grow, and also export cash crops. We talked about the evolution of powers, and the evolution of powers was a subject matter that touched on our mineral resources, exploitation and exploration, that talked about value-added tax and sales tax administration, that talked about the issue of state security and the role of governors being chief security indeed and in truth, not just chief security officers by name. We went ahead and we also discussed that to properly integrate ourselves, to properly amplify the competitive and comparative advantages of each state that comprise of the region. It's important that we deliberately have what we call a Southern State Development Agency or agenda. And this SSD, as we call it, will now begin to harness each of our comparative advantages. I have my strength in limestone, I have my strength in poultry, in eggs, in cassava. Others have their strength in coal, in gold, and so on and so forth. And begin to marry, these advantages that we have with potential investors, with the individual states investment promotion agencies, with the Nigerian Investment Promotion Council, to ensure that states are no longer reliant on just federal allocation, that each state can now begin to increase their potential to generate revenue, and also to be able to ensure that, again, they provide for the well-being and welfare of our citizens. To that extent, we discussed, and I believe that what you'll be seeing is a new repositioned, refocused Southern Governors Forum that will now continue to meet. We resolve that we'll be meeting quarterly. And of course, these are meetings will be rotated around the country, member states.
Your Excellency, now that we have the benefit of having you, let's just, laudable idea. I have to note it down, Southern State Development Agenda or Agency, as you put it, because we've been worried about the, lack of viability of a couple of the states. Your state, Lagos, and a couple of other states are the only ones that are not at least 50% dependent on FAC allocation. So we've always said, if you take out FAC, a lot of states, if they were companies, they will fold up, some as high as 90%. But the other issue that gets flags to governors, you and your colleagues, Your Excellency, is the issue of local government autonomy. Look at what's playing out in Rivers State, and even the independence of the legislature. Look at what's playing out in Rivers State and other states as well. The Attorney General is an issue at the Supreme Court, so we may not be able to speak strongly about it, but I would like your take. The Attorney General even said that at some point, maybe INEC will start conducting elections in states, because the INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud, said, governors, start conducting elections, stop the coronation. So it looks like whether they're talking about LG funds, LG elections, independence of the judicial legislature in the state, at the state level, everybody seems to perceive that the governors have their knee on the neck of those sectors. How do you respond to that?
Well, it's unfortunate that in Nigeria today, governors have been entrusted with the onerous task of superintending over their states are providing leadership and ensuring peace and security, investment promotion, and facilitation, and looking after their people, are the ones that are being castigated and blamed for everything and anything. On the issue of local government administration, these are constitutional issues that I believe we would have to rest, put to rest at a point in time. Are we a country that recognizes that are we a country that recognizes the federal and the state levels of administration, or are we a country that recognizes federal, state, and local government? Now, the issue of reference here, is the issue of Rivers State. As of now, it is the State House of Assembly that is able to pass a bill into law that decides on the tenure of local government chairmen and their executive, and that is the position of the Constitution as of today. So when a tenure has expired, it stands to reason that the tenure has expired. It is not up to the governor of that state to extend that tenure or anybody else. It would be a dangerous precedent in this country. And this was the collective position of the governors. There would be a dangerous precedent and an abuse of the democratic process for a tenure of an elected local government chairman to expire, and for anyone to imagine that tenure can be extended by one day. So I think that puts that matter to rest, because if that is not the case, that becomes a precedent, it becomes a reference point, and the next thing is you find out that I, for example, have my council chairman's tenure expiring, I think, next month. The next thing is somebody will go to court and say that they should be in office for another 3 or 4 months, really. So I think democracy has evolved to a point that is continuously fledging, that we should not do anything to truncate the process that's almost autopilot. So I think that pretty much, I think, speaks to that question of yours about what the governors feel about the issue of this tenure of local governments, about whether INEC will want to conduct local government elections. Like I said, this is a constitutional matter, and as and when the constitution gets amended or otherwise, as it is today, the governors and their state electoral commissions are the ones that are empowered to conduct elections in the various states into local government councils.
Okay, Your Excellency, I had to ask that question as a build-up to my next question, which has to do with the issue of state police. So this is the perception. Our job is to tell you what the people are thinking. That if the governors are handling the local government this way and the state legislature this way, it may boomerang if we put the state police in their hands. It's a question people kind of answer and go back and answer and go back again. But what is the conversation amongst the governors? Well, is there a guarantee that there will not be an abuse? Because abuse is the challenge.
Let me ask you for clarification. When you said, when the governors are handling local government this way, how are the governors handling local government? I would like a clarification on that. Because I'm a sitting governor, and I know how I'm handling local governments in my state. You know, for the avoidance of doubt, let me probably explain to you how it works. You know, the federal allocation that comes into our state comes in 2 parts. We have the FAC and the JAC. The JAC is the allocation that goes to the local government. And I, as governor, I'm not a signatory to that account. That allocation comes in to the JAC account. When it comes in and when it's known, they have a JAC meeting. That JAC meeting comprises of the chair of the council chairman, some selected council chairmen, some traditional rulers, the local government service commission, and all encompassing team. They sit down, they look at what has come in. They pay the first line charges. The first line charges are usually salaries of teachers, private school teachers, salaries of health workers, salaries of traditional rulers, and then the emoluments and salaries for the local government administration and council chairmen themselves. And in my state, most of the time, by the time they apportion this JAC, I would have to write a check from FAC of my AGR to augment, because if I went, there's a shortfall. So I really don't understand, and this is in line with the constitution as of today. So I really don't understand this issue of how governors have been handling local government. That's why I thought I should probably clarify that. That is how local government administration is handled in my state. And I want to assume that this is what obtains in all the 36 states. But, you know, governors today are the ones that quickly demonized. So let's move on from that to the issue of state policing. You know, they call governors chief security officers. But the truth of the matter is that the Nigerian police force that is in each of our states, the commissioner of police is appointed by, you know, or posted by the Inspector General of Police, and only answerable to the IG. And even when there is a need for the governor to call the attention of the CP to something urgent, the CP will have to first clear with the IG, because that is the reporting line. In which case, if the scenario requires emergency response, that lag between reporting to the IG and coming back to us may have, you know, brought, you know, the state to some level of harm or level of insecurity. But let's even leave that. What have we discovered? In asking for state police, we have discovered that when you have policemen in Ogun State or in Anambra State or in Lagos State, they have been posted from either, so a policeman in Lagos State is posted from Maiduguri,
All right.
The policeman in Anambra from Ogun State. He doesn't understand the terrain. He doesn't speak the language. He's not able to get the level of intelligence required. By the time he begins to understand that geographical location, he's transferred to another state again. We began to advocate for community policing. Because in community policing, the policeman is posted to the ward where he comes from. He understands the politics, he understands the locals, he understands the language, he understands the sentiments, he knows the criminals. And that is what led to the issue of these regional security outfits that we had like Amotekun. They are proven to be very, very effective. It is with the success of Amotekun that we now began to advocate and say, you know what? One, there's a manpower shortage with the issue of the federal police. Two, we are not in charge or in control. Three, we are the same ones that continue to equip them. When I assumed office as governor of Ogun State, the police in Ogun State did not have vehicles, they did not have communication equipment, they don't have motorcycles, they don't have protective gear. I had to fund all that, and yet I'm not getting the best out of them. As a matter of fact, they don't have enough personnel. So I've had to complement them with the Amotekun outfit, who are now able to provide intelligence, who are right there on the ground in the wards and local governments. So these are one of the reasons why we began to advocate for state policing. But if people think that, and this is not something new, I mean, in other climes, that we continue to emulate, they have community police, they even have college policemen in America. You have, county policemen, you have community police.
Your Excellency, if I may button, the juxtaposition you're doing has to do with stronger institutions, which we don't have. We don't have that luxury. So the perception of Nigerians is the fact that we don't have strong institutions that can look at an Excellency and say, I'm not going to do your bidding because this is what the law says, which is why this argument is back and forth as far as this is concerned. But because of the luxury, we don't have the luxury of time. Let's move on to other issues quickly so that we make the most of your conversation with you, sir. The major one is this issue of cholera. We've recorded, I think, 1 death in the state. We want to know how much of effort the state government is making so that this doesn't go beyond what it is already.
Well, thank you for asking that question. I believe a couple of days ago, we had the Director General of the Director General of the, what do you call him? I was talking about cholera, about the fact that by today they were going to declare an emergency on the cholera outbreak. Yes, in Ogun State, we've had 1 death. Even before that, as soon as we were aware of the prevalence of cholera in Lagos, we began to immediately become very proactive. I know cholera's prevalence is still mostly around the slums, and is a disease that is prevalent usually when you have issues with sanitation and poor water treatment and poor control of effluent, and hygiene generally. Our Ministry of Health, in fact, today they had a press conference today on this cholera outbreak and proactive steps that we are taking and what needs to be done, and warning everybody of their responsibility and what they need to do to ensure that we curb this outbreak of cholera that we are seeing, not just in Ogun State, in Lagos State, and in other states. I believe that usually around the rainy season, when the water tables begin to rise and you find people drinking from water that's seeping from drains and polluted wells, that we see this rise in cholera cases. So in Ogun State, we are on top of it. We are being very proactive. We've just stepped up the campaign to ensure that people know what it takes and what they need to do. and that this disease can actually be easily tackled, with proper hygiene and clean water.
Your Excellency, thank you so much. We wish we had more time to expand the issues, but we must congratulate you yet again, the chairman of the Southern Governors Forum and the governor of Ogun State, Governor Dakwa Abiodun. Thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you very much for having me. Have a good evening.
Not to worry, other conversations we've been tracking as far as security will continue as much as possible, but not today on the program. But we must thank you for your time and company. I'm Jeffrey Uzanga. Good night and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.